welcome to another exciting episode of Loss of Lieutenant. Tonight, we return back to basics, and this time, we are talking about probably the most talked about little change into N5, and that would be Fireteams. Tonight, I am joined by my lovely fellow hosts, Nick.
Hello.
Jordan.
Hello there.
And Jacob.
What's up?
But before we can get into this wondrous topic, we must do some housekeeping, and I shall pass over to Jordan for that.
Alright, Jordan, do that one fucking thing that you do. Alright, we have some upcoming events, as we always do. They are finally thanking Nick from the bottom of my heart. They are in chronological fucking order of when they're happening. Tristan. First up, we have the Cyber Baltic 2025 from the 26th to the 27th of April in Riga, Latvia. It is a satellite tournament, the mission lineup being supplies, unmasking, acquisition, extraction, custom mission, and supremacy with the baffling decision of no QAZ creatures. I heard some rumblings about why the QAZ creatures were removed, and I'm very upset about the fact that they were removed. I don't know what's going on with you guys in Latvia, but it's bad decisions. And after that, we have Arkfinity 2025 from the 3rd to the 4th of May at the Sandown Racecourse in Melbourne. It is a 300-point event with reinforced command, meaning there is no loss of lieutenant to worry about. The tickets are available now, around $100 estimated, fully painted and based as a requirement, as the Ark event is one much more focused on both painting and sportsmanship over just clubbing your opponent like a baby seal. Leading into that, the missions are a little bit more off the wall than you would expect otherwise, with Biotech 4, Highly Classified, Annihilation, Supremacy, and Mega Turret, which has finally been given its 1.0 release, courtesy of Pete Henry, and I believe Kev as well was working on that one.
And it's fucking good.
It is very good.
It's a really fun mission.
It's very good when people just aren't being contrarian and not following the rules. Not naming names.
It's definitely a mission with a bit of a learning curve.
It's a mission that benefits when you read the document.
Yes. If you're going to Arc, play the mission 2 or 3 times before you go to Arc, because it will change how you write the list.
Yep.
And moving off of that, we have BrizCon 2025 from the 17th to the 18th of May at Mount Gravett Showgrounds in Queensland, with the missions being Mind Wipe, Biotech 4, Unmasking, Countermeasures, and Decapitation! And the main character of upcoming events for the next part of this calendar year, we have Border Bash 2025, the King's Birthday long weekend from the 7th to the 8th of June at the Mirabina Community Centre in Lavington. The missions for this event are Cryogenics, Mind Wipe, Countermeasures, Panic Room, and the Armory. That is right, Day 2 is in fact 2 objective room missions, because the people who made this event's mission lineups are fucking psychopaths.
And objectively, the 2 worst objective room missions.
The fact that last launch hasn't been added now that we have ITS 16.5 is a bit of a war crime, personally speaking. But that's not all, because Tristan...
Nope. Keep going.
Yeah, no, that's not all.
Guess what? Nick didn't put them in chronological order. Woo!
No, it's because you fucking insisted on your event being the last one we talk about.
I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it.
I don't trust you a single fucking cent here. Yes, Tristan is running the Slow Grow 2025 in Melbourne, the second round of which will be the 22nd of March, so next week, and at the Gaming Arena. It is going to be 225 points, 4.5 Swick on a 48 by 32 inch table. The missions are Biotech 4, Highly Classified, and Supremacy, with round 3 after that on the 12th of April, also at the Gaming Arena, finally playing 300 points, 6 Swick, and the 4x4 tables we so know and love, with the missions to be revealed that are going to be Arkfinity related, and that is the upcoming events. And if I may say, before we do jump into the main topic of today's episode, we sometimes get a little bit of flack for maybe being a little bit negative at times. Some of us. Not all of us, some of us. Tristan.
We do. Jordan.
But I do just want to say, before we go into this iteration of Fireteams that we have now, I think is comfortably the best version of Fireteams that I have played with. And I've played with this version, the N4 post Fireteam update and N4 before the Fireteams update as well. I think this is comfortably the best version of Fireteams we've had.
There will be no complaints from probably any of us about the state of Fireteams at the moment.
I feel very, very good about where Fireteams are now. Anyway, Nick, you are the smart lecture man.
Oh,
Take us
okay.
away.
So, going to start off with kind of some background, make sure that any new players or any players who are returning to the game after a few months are back up to speed with what Fireteams are, how they operate, and then we can dive into using them and how to build them, how to get the most out of them on the table. So, start off with the absolute basics. What are Fireteams? Fireteams are groups of 2 to 5 models that activate together using the same order. This allows greater efficiency of moving models around, and depending on how you build it, you also get other benefits. There's 3 types of Fireteams. You've got duos, which always contain 2 troops. No more, no less. Harries, which must contain 3 troops when you create it, but if you have casualties, it still maintains until you get down to 1. Core is probably the most flexible, in that it must contain at least 3 and no more than 5 when you create it. This does open up the idea that you can have a 5 core or you can have a 3 core that is just a Harries by another name.
That name is very important, though, because sometimes you do absolutely cheat with that.
Yeah. No, it'll also become important later when we do like limits and stuff.
So, how do you form a fire team? Basically, you have to declare the fire team leader, and then you declare which models around it are in that fire team. During deployment, you can do this for free. You just go, that's the fire team leader, these models are in it, this is the type of fire team, and then you check to make sure it's legal. During the game, it costs a command token to form it. Coherency works kind of like with peripherals. All members must stay within the zone of control of the fire team leader. Sorry, wrong word there. They must be within the zone of control whenever you check. They can wander in and out as long as they're there when you check.
Yep.
Wandering in and out is something I have seen trip people up before.
Yes. You have to check coherency when you form the fire team, so at deployment, and then at the start and end of any order or ARO they participate in. Should be noted that end of the order means the absolute end of the order.
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
Yeah, so after guts, after dodge, so the movement from those is taken into account before you check coherency.
Yeah, so you pretty much you check at the resolution phase of the order.
Yes, at the very end of it.
Yep. Yeah.
We've got forming fire teams. Now we've got breaking fire teams. So this one you can freely declare at any time. I believe the only restriction on it, and it's a little vague in how it's worded, is basically you can't interrupt an order to do it.
Yep.
You have to do it before the order starts.
Oh, so you can't do it in like at the end of like a short order.
No.
So short scale, sorry.
Short scale, correct. Yeah, you have to do it either like before or after the order, and you can do it in either active or reactive.
Yep. For example, you can't first skill move all your guys and then decide to break your link to then move the fire team leader an extra 4 or, move them around. You're committed. It's committed fire team once you spend the order.
Yes. The fire team will also break if the fire team leader is either isolated or enters a null state like unconscious or dead. So if the fire team leader stops being able to communicate with them or is dead, the fire team dissolves.
Yeah. Unless you have the number 2 skill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which costs like more points than it should for what it does.
It is slightly niche, but it's very useful.
Yeah. It's
I've
useful where
put
it
fire
shows up.
teams together where I've been real ballsy with them because I've had number 2.
I think it also depends on factions. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We can discuss that later. Leading a fire team. So if you've got a model in a fire team that you don't want to be in the fire team anymore, you cannot just declare that they leave, unless you declare you dissolve the fire team, in which case everyone leaves.
Yeah.
It has to be triggered by some other action. Example would be if you check coherency and they're not in coherency, they're removed from the fire team. There's a bunch of other examples, but we'll get to them as we get to them. If you do leave the fire team, it is possible to rejoin it. Automatically during the states phase, you can check coherency off of the unit leader. And if the model that left the fire team is within coherency, they just rejoin it during the states phase.
Is that
That
new
had-
in N5?
Hmm?
Is that new in N5?
No.
It's
Yeah,
new.
no.
It's new after the fire team's annex in N4.
Yeah. It was this has interesting interactions with regeneration.
Do note that it has to be the same fire team. If the fire team broke and was reformed, that's a different fire team. So kind of like if someone tries to discover a camouflage marker in ARO, fails, they can't rediscover that one. But if that model falls out of camo and then goes back into camo, it is a new camo marker, and they can try to discover it again.
Yep.
How do fire teams activate? So in active turn, you declare a member of the fire team to be the fire team leader. It does not have to be the same model each time. You spend a regular order, and you check coherency to make sure that all the models that you think are activating are activating. Then declare the skills like you normally would for an order. If the skill is either a reset or has the movement label, everyone does it. So if you declare a move, everyone moves. If you declare a dodge, everyone gets to roll their dodge. Reset, everyone gets to roll a reset.
You declare super jump.
Slightly complicated, but yes. If it's not one of those, then only the fire team leader performs it, and everyone else performs an idle. This is important because idle in N5 no longer
Has the movement label, right?
yes,
Idle
so it now
breaks
breaks stealth.
Oh.
Which
So-
it did not
Did-
used to.
This is also like if the particular model can't do the particular thing, which is like the super jump label, they just don't do it. They also declare or
They also
idle.
declare an idle, yes.
Yeah.
So if you declare a skill that a model can't perform, such example, you declare a short skill jump. Some models don't have super jump, so they can't have access to that. They would just perform an idle. At the end of the activation, you can check coherency, and if anyone is no longer there in coherency, they fall out of the fire team. In reactive, declared an arrow, fairly similar to how you would normally ARO. Each member individually gets to declare an ARO. Their targets can be different. However, whatever ARO is declared by the majority of the members of the fire team becomes the fire team's ARO. Any model in the fire team that did not declare, or that declared an ARO different from that, immediately leaves the fire team. So you have to, similar to an active, all be doing the same thing to stay a fire team.
Yeah, so this is the only example where you can have one model leave a fire team without breaking the entire fire team.
Oh no, there's plenty of other examples. Just walking
Oh,
out of
sorry.
coherency. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. You're right.
Yeah, because in this you have to declare what arrow. If someone declares like the three of their models are dodging and one of them is shooting, the model that is shooting is not performing the fire team's arrow. Therefore, they have gone their own separate way and aren't playing on a team anymore.
If you're wondering what kind of situation can sort of cause you to end up breaking a fire team like that, if you misposition and some guys end up a little bit too close together, and your opponent maybe splashes a team with a HRL template, even if the one you shoot with beats the HRL in the face-to-face, if the HRL hits, the template still goes down and still splashes the other guys. So you would then need to declare dodge.
Yeah. Can also come up if your opponent manages to fork your fire team.
Yeah.
Forking's very nice. If you throw down a crazy koala, it will go off on anything that reacts. So sometimes you either want to force it on a certain model or whatever, or if someone hacks, very similar.
Remember, many Shezvasti players were deeply, deeply upset when their Speculo mine layer was no longer allowed to deploy a mine on top of the on top of a fire team.
So this is a case where rejoining the fire team during the states phase can be very useful.
Yep.
Because then by your turn, they're back in the fire team. During the arrow, you also at the start and end to check coherency, same as any other order. Building a fire team. So, in your sectoral or your vanilla, you will have a fire team chart. This will have a bunch of different types of fire teams. There is a lovely annotated version in the rulebook if you would like to go over the exact details of how to read the chart. Basically, you'll have what the type of team is, what types of fire teams can form, so Harry's core duo, and then what type of models can be in there with how many minimum and maximum can be in there. Some fire teams will have asterisks in the minimum, and that means that you have to have at least one of any of the models that have an asterisk to form it. Fire teams will also have wildcard sections, and those can be added to any fire team as long as the fire team still has someone to form it around.
Yep. And this is one of those situations where people might get caught up. A lot of the core fire teams of sectoral will be all types, but some of them won't have the duo. Some of them won't have the core. They'll just be a duo Harris. So don't just assume that, all big fire teams can duo Harris core. Some of them are a bit freaky.
Yes.
Actually, far more than not can't duo.
Yeah.
I think I ended up looking through it just to sort of see at one point, because I think it came up for... might have been OSS.
It was OSS, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 4 factions where their main core team can duo.
The big one for me is still Phalanx. Their main link can only core.
Yeah.
So you're not duoing to like Ajax and Phoenix or whatever together. You need that third member minimum to make that link team.
Yeah.
So next to the units in the fire team chart, they may have parentheses and a model type. That means that they count as that type of model for being in a fire team. That's important because that will help determine the level of the fire team bonus. Basically, those keywords will count up how many of those keywords you have, and the largest number of them will be the level of the fire team.
Yeah. So you've got 2 types of keywords. You either count as a particular unit. So in the case of Ramma, a lot of things count as Ghulams, or they count as like they have the fire team keyword. So Morats is a good example where the Morat fire team, a lot of the units don't count as themselves, don't count as another model for the sake of doing the fire teams. They count as Morats.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. And while these 2 examples on the screen are simple, there are some factions that will mix and match both a fire team keyword and unit type keyword in the same fire teams, and those can be a little tricky to work out what type of fire team you have formed and what the majority group is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
important thing is just to count how many your highest number of a single keyword, and that's going to determine the level of fire team you have, determining your bonuses that the fire team will get.
Again, thank God CB made it so much easier. There is one chart now. There is no longer two charts.
So yesterday when I was making this presentation, I was trying to come up with some examples of bad fire teams, which we'll get to later. I was looking at old N4 fire teams that I ran in Torchlight, and I was wondering why this was good. And then I completely forgot that in N4 we had two different types of bonus charts.
Yep.
I had to go and look.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's what
So
you mean, yeah.
CB going from two charts to one chart, fucking massive improvement. I love it.
Beautiful.
Well, it was also like because Purity didn't work in levels like the new one does. It's either you were a pure fire team and you got those extra bonuses, or you were not and you got nothing, even if 4 out of the 5 guys in that team counted as.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, with the N5, the fire team's level bonus, which as I said is the largest number of troops in the unit in the fire team with the same unit name or same keyword. At level 1, it's a fire team. You can all activate during the same order. Level 2, so you have 2 of the same. You get +1 special die, which is a beautiful bonus to have that early on. Level 3, you get +3 to your discover rolls and +1 to your dodge rolls. At level 4, you get +1 BS to BS attacks. And at level 5, you get Sixth Sense for the entire fire team.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Go on.
yeah, when we were talking at N4, that essentially every single level there was with a comma of if you're pure at this level. Oh, sorry, if you're pure, you get another bonus, which was
Yes.
it was dumb.
The fact there was a second entire table as well.
Yep.
It didn't really have anything until 3 pure members, didn't it?
It didn't. It didn't have anything
No,
until
yeah, it
three.
had nothing
Yeah.
until 3 pure members.
The bonus for having 2 people in a fire team at N4 was that it was a fire team.
Yes, that it got to
Yeah.
activate.
Yep.
Yeah.
In fact,
So-
now I think about it, it was only 3 and 5. I don't remember there being a 4
No,
level purity bonus.
No, level 4 for purity was +1 BS. Level 5 for purity was +1
another
BS.
+1 BS. Yeah.
Yep. So it's important to note it here. Special dice means you roll an additional dice and remove one after you've rolled everything.
Mhm.
+1 BS attack and the special dice, I believe, do apply to flash pulses now.
The special die does.
I'm not sure about the
will
BS attack.
have to remember the BS attack because this table here is the simplified version from the preview.
The special dice absolutely does because it is very specifically not
at-
a burst bonus.
Yep.
So at level 4, it is +1 to your ballistic skill. So
There you
not to ballistic skill attacks,
Okay.
just to
Yep.
your ballistic skill.
But that is a change from N4. Flash pulses did not get any burst bonuses, and they do now.
Yep.
And obviously, Sixth Sense has been cut in half. So now Sixth Sense does not provide you with the ignoring of surprise attack bonuses.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is much, much, much harder to get to.
Much harder to get to.
Benefits of fire teams other than that fire teams table. Tactical awareness and NCO. Both these can be used without breaking the fire team, but the model using TAC aware or NCO must be the fire team leader for that order. The lovely new fire team master skill, in which whatever the named irregular units are become regular when they're in the fire team with the fire team master.
Such a good
And Tinbots. Tinbots apply their bonus to all members of the fire team. So stuff like Tinbot Firewall is a lovely thing to put in and then toss a hacker in with it.
Very
Godsend
notably,
for-
however, they do not stack. If you have 2 neg3 tin bots, you do not get neg6. You only
Yes.
get one of the highest value ones.
Disadvantages.
Yes. So disadvantages of fire teams. Every model activates, which means every model is a valid ARO target. This is probably one of the tougher learning curves for playing with larger fire teams, is figuring out how to prevent them from receiving more AROs than you intend.
Yeah, crossing a corridor with a fire team and not leaving one out or having your opponent go, I'm just going to shoot the one in the back that can't fire back at me.
Yep.
Is something every new player trying fire teams will have to probably learn at some time.
So Lieutenant can't use its order without breaking the fire team. NCO being the exception because sometimes you get Lieutenant NCOs.
Mm-hmm.
Models in fire teams cannot have peripherals, and that also means that the new tag peripheral, if you deploy it, you are out of a fire team.
Yeah.
It can, especially when you get to larger fire teams, concentrate your forces into a smaller area of the board. And yeah, as mentioned, movement complications when you get larger fire teams. You have to keep track of not just the arrows, but the physical space of moving that many models.
Yep.
Impetuous models, while in N4 they got a lot of buffs from fire teams, they do not anymore. Impetuous models, if they activate during the impetuous phase, they leave the fire team. And impetuous models still suffer the penalties from impetuous, specifically limited cover or no cover while they're in fire teams. Additionally, fire teams no longer suppress frenzy. So if you have frenzy and you hurt or kill something, you frenzy. It doesn't matter if you're in a fire team. You got the bonus or the discount for frenzy, you get to suffer frenzy.
Frenzy discount no longer overpowered.
Yes.
All right.
Thank God.
So,
Frenzy discount is now actually a frenzy discount.
Yes.
yes.
My poor Cenobites.
No,
Fuck your
shut the
Cenobites.
fuck
No,
up.
that's not true at all.
They
That's
are
not true at all.
beyond-
They were so
beyond
so
exceptional.
good.
They're still
So
fucking
good.
munted,
They're
bro.
still beyond good.
As far as I'm concerned, they just got better in this new version.
Despite the fact that you have an obsession with the Moira sniper, the Cenobites are exceptional.
Okay, so where are fire teams found? Historically, they've been pretty much limited to sectorals, but that has expanded in N5. Most sectorals at N5 have access to one core, one Haris, and unlimited duos. However, sectorals with two Harises is not uncommon at N5.
Yeah.
6 or 7?
Yeah, enough that when I see it, I'm not surprised. It's more of a, ooh, they're part of that neat club.
Mm. Yep.
Because it's not something you can always take advantage of, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah. Once you get up to two Harises and a core, sometimes you run out of models to put in teams before you run out of teams.
Well, yeah, you're just like, oh, over half my army is linked.
Yeah.
In vanillas for N5, it's typically one Haris and two duos. They also have the caveat that vanilla Harises tend to be more limited in their options than sectorals. Vanillas tend to have no wildcards. There is a single exception, and it is, of course, vanilla combined, because they have to be special.
Absolutely.
What's the wild card that they get?
Kodali.
Oh, Kodali. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Why?
Vanillas. I don't know. They've only got two. I think they have 3 or 4 possible types of fire teams, so that might be why.
Yep. In that, they're special too.
Yes. Vanillas also tend to have few or no keywords, which makes getting the level bonus on your fire teams a bit more difficult unless you just stack the same unit type.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you tend there's not a because of the limits that actually put on vanilla fire teams in terms of like how many can actually fit in a fire team.
Mm-hmm.
You often find that if you want that extra special dice bonus, you have to take 2 mooks and your good gunfighter. You can't go and say, I'm just going to take my 2 gunfighters.
Yeah.
You generally have to go to that Harris level, which unfortunately means the duos tend to be centered around just sort of order efficiency, gunfighter carrying around a specialist, something like that.
Yeah, vanilla fire teams tend to be more difficult to hit the power levels that sectorals get.
All right.
Yeah.
And for anyone who has been asleep for the last 6 months, comparison of N4 and N5 with fire team changes between them. Historically, it's been very Harris and core centric, mostly because duos didn't have a bonus. Duos were pretty rare in N4, and it was usually stuff along the lines of having a solo piece and then a tag-along specialist.
The example that comes to my mind is what's her face, Sheshkin and Victor.
Yeah, a model that is just fine being by itself, and then another model who goes, look, a free move.
Pretty much.
And I think the atypical example there, which probably remains in N5, is the tag plus engineer.
Yes. Harises in N4 tended to be nice, flexible mobile toolboxes, and then cores tended toward the ARO Castle and Death Star power. Death Star power fire teams.
They were almost the definition of a particular sectorial. You'd be like, I'm playing the sectorial because I want to take this big bunch of boys.
Yes. There was a much larger power gap between pure and impure fire teams. Whereas now it's just a sliding scale. You can have differing levels of purity. N4, they also suppressed Frenzy and Impetuous, which made them quite valuable to undo the penalties that you paid a discount to have.
Yep.
For N5, the power balance has shifted from hitting the sweet bonus at level 3 down to level 2. It was previously a +1 burst bonus at a pure of 3, and now it's a +1 special die at level 2.
It was a +1 burst at non-pure level 3.
Yeah, it was +1 burst.
Oh, sorry, non-pure level 3.
The pure bonus for level 3 hasn't changed much between editions.
It technically got better.
Technically got better.
Because of the fizz?
Yeah, because of the fizz.
Yeah. So, in N5, higher level bonuses have decreased in power. That also means now that you need more justification to hit those higher levels. You're not building a 5-person core and making sure you hit that 5 level, whereas now you can build up to a level 4 and go, yeah, that's a good balanced core.
Yeah.
Smaller fire teams are far better and more widely available in N5, even in vanillas. And while they're not as it's not as powerful as the +1 burst bonus, getting the +1 special die has far wider application and does a lot more in subtle ways. Probably one of the big ones is with disposable equipment, where it makes it just as accurate as having a +1 burst without expending the extra ammo.
It's like disposable equipment and technical weapons, basically. Like your flash pulse being burst 2 it's hard to understate how good that is. Getting a second roll of the dice with something you traditionally only ever got one shot at has turned a lot of things that weren't good at ARO into things that are capable of ARO.
Yep.
And I guess a really good way to think about the way fire teams have really shifted in power level between the two editions is that in N4, you were always looking to hit the 2 breakpoints you were looking to hit were 3 members to get the burst bonus, and then 4 members because that got you 6 cents, and if you were a pure fire team, got you +1 ballistic skill as well. You needed to hit one of those 2 to really feel like you were getting your money's worth. Now, however, that has shifted entirely to where I think the only bonus you genuinely really care about now is hitting that level 2 bonus to get the special die, and then that is your fire team, and then and then after that you get to add either in terms of level, or you just get to add in terms of variety of what the fire team does.
Yep.
Yeah, I would make an argument that the level 4 bonus of +1 ballistic skill, it's nowhere near what the levels were in N4. But if I'm building a core and I'm debating between 3 and 4 members, I will find a way to get that fourth member in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like back with the old fire teams, it used to be you get to 4 and you go, it's not going to hurt if I go to 5 because
Yes.
you just get a bunch of good bonuses. Now it's the opposite where you get to 4 and you go, I got no real reason to go to 5. I'll stay there because you've got most of the bonuses that you need at that point.
It's the difficulty of getting that pure 5. If you're a
Yeah.
level 4 and getting that fifth member isn't giving you 6 cents, there might not be a reason to do it. And even then, looking at that 4-man link, since duos are unlimited and since the power curve has been shifted down to that level 2 bonus, you might decide that having that bonus twice over in 2 different parts of the map might be more valuable than having +1 ballistic skill and +3 to dodge. Or
A really good way to sort of center the way you think about fire teams now is if you're coming from N4 to N5 is in my opinion at least, they've gone from being like your main gunfighting platform to generally a lot more of a toolbox than what they were before. Like your level 4 fire teams are often, in my experience, they're usually a level 2 fire team, basically a duo, and then you're stapling extra stuff onto that fire team for it to do, not necessarily adding to the bonus. But of course, you still see a fair bit of, in certain factions, you see a fair bit of that, like get up to level 4 pretty comfortably.
unfortunately, fire teams are a very, very, very complicated topic. So there's always going to be exceptions to the rule with general things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, just expect everything we say, there is
Yeah.
absolutely an exception that exists.
Everything will have an exception. There's definitely pure cores out there that are very, very functional and very, very good. There are cores out there that are absolute garbage. There were duos that are absolute garbage. There are duos that are amazing, and everything in between. We're just going to define kind of the goal of the fire team, and then you can take it from there and kind of test yourselves out.
And if you take umbrage with anything that we say, remember, you can head over to patreon.com/lossoflieutenant and hear us record live and tell us how wrong we are as we record.
Yes.
Look at that. Fucking, what a plug.
What a plug. Professional.
What a fucking
Jordan
plug.
deserves that $3 a month, guys.
And a good transition too.
All right, fire teams, part 2. What makes a good fire team? So, all right, I'll do it. Part 1, synergy. So, the goal of a fire team, realistically from my mind, is to increase efficiency, and that is a wide, broad term, but we'll go through it. So, the first part is provide more orders. So, NCO orders, tactical awareness orders, they all activate the fire team at the same time, and you're getting, a little bit more bang for your buck than having that tactical awareness guy by himself. They provide redundancy, so if you get your big gun boy, you can then staple either a doctor or an engineer to them, and in case something goes wrong, you don't have to spend any additional orders to get your doctor engineer next to them. Likewise, you have your big gun, and then you can staple your specialist to him, so while you're running up the table killing stuff, you can press some buttons along the way. Covering other people's weapons rolls, so if you have your big HMG boy, sometimes he ends in a little awkward spot, so you can staple a nice warband guy to him with a chain rifle or an SMG to fill out those range band rolls. Vision control. Vision control is a great one in N5. Stapling smoke, eclipse, and disco bowlers to guns lets you determine when and where you're fighting enemy models, and that's pretty invaluable now. And then deterrence for enemy models. So things like really powerful CC units, units with mines, and units with powerful templates like heavy flamethrowers and EM templates are very, very, very valuable in link teams as well.
Especially if you're in like a faction where your big gunfighters are generally like a big gun and nothing else, and they really need that other fire team guy to say, "Hey, we walked up the table. I'll cover the corner."
Yep.
Yeah, that's really useful for mobile fire teams where they are going to be moving up the table. They will not be able to get into a place that is perfectly defensible. So having a buddy that brings that defense with you to help prevent your gun from being flanked or snuck up on by a close combat model.
And realistically now as well, fire teams are just the best way in the game to do vision control. Now that smoke grenades especially lost their +3 range band, the best way to get as close as you can to guaranteeing that a smoke is going to go down is if you have that +1 special die.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would almost say for smoke, this fire team is as important for the smoke throwing model as it is for the model that they're trying to get up to the board to actually guarantee that success. It's the order of efficiency is just invaluable.
Yep.
Well, for example, BS-11 model with a smoke grenade launcher has a 55% chance to land the shot. Once you add a special die, it goes up to an 80% chance to land the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive. I know
It's
exactly what model
actually-
you're talking about.
Yes.
Actually, just
Yes,
there's one-
it's amazing how well Gakis can range find.
What's up, Jordan?
it's just an insane efficiency increase. Even though efficiency is one of those words like tempo that has in fact lost a lot of its meaning.
It's lost a lot of meaning because it has such a wide bearing. It means
Yeah.
so many different things, but they're all equally valid.
Do more with the same or less.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what makes a great fire team?
Jacob?
Yeah. So, as we sort of mentioned before, covering each other's weakness. So if you've got a, your heavy infantry gunfighter or whatever, being able to put a killer hacker with them, or something with a tin bot if it doesn't already have it to provide that hacking defense, and even that hacking deterrent is huge.
Yep.
As well as, again, that gunfighter and some point defense. So, there's a ton of good examples, but anything with a chain rifle, shotguns, any sort of template that can sit on the corners or cover the stairs or look behind and sort of get a guaranteed hit on something that might try and sneak up on your gunfighter is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
As well as enabling each other's strengths. So a model, there's annoyingly a lot of models with disco ballers don't have a deactivator, but a lot of engineers, or I think all engineers, have a deactivator.
Mm-hmm.
So taking something with a disco baller and a deactivator, which I think on the top of my head, maybe the Jujak and the Huarang. I think the Huarang has a disco baller, no deactivator, and then the engineer Jujak has a deactivator. So it allows them to turn that little the disco ball on each turn, as well as MSV2 and Smoke. There's a million examples of those. And again, that hacker 10 bot bonus, looking at Invincible Army, where you can get tons of Neg 6 10 bots that attach to the High Dow killer hacker. And that's not the only example, but there's so many examples where you do that. And you can just make invincible hackers. Probably one of the better ones is the Dokkaebi from White Banner and the Jujak 10 bot. Practically invincible as far as hacking goes.
Just as a heads up, the Huarang Disco Baller does have a deactivator.
Yeah, I had a feeling I was wrong on that, but there are other examples of that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
So what makes a great duo? Obviously, the big part of hitting the duo is that level 2 bonus. So getting the +1 special die, especially to a gunfighter who's already good. Great duos can also be built on support. So the tag plus engineer, basically whatever your main fighting piece you want, and then a support piece to keep them going or get them there. It's good also for them to be symbiotic, where they can watch each other's backs. So we're talking about range bands. If you've got something that wants to fight anything over 16 inches, being paired up with something that is happy fighting stuff under 16 inches then depending on where they are and where the opponent's positioned, you can pick and choose which one to engage.
Yep. I like some fire teams that are probably a little underrepresented are really powerful units that get like an activator. For example, I played a lot of Musashi in N4. He's great, but he's kind of a lone gun. He's an opportunistic piece that if you see an opening, you kind of go for it. But now he's linkable with a Tanko Disco Baller, and when your enemy sees that, if they leave him alone, he's almost guaranteed to be able to fight something in CC if you really dedicate yourself to it.
He's going to waddle up the table very aggressively.
Yes. So there are some duos out there where you get a really powerful unit that might be powerful in one aspect, and you add another unit to kind of enable them to do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall with duos, you probably want to build for the level 2 bonus. But especially in sectorals, where duos are unlimited, you're not wasting anything if you, during deployment, freely declare something to be a duo that you were taking anyways, because there's no downside. Like, worst case, at the start of your turn 1, you just break it, and they go their separate ways.
The beauty of the sectoral duo is, since they're unlimited, you're not scrounging, you're not having to decide which duos you're making. And sometimes just tack awareness onto a unit you know you're going to use a lot, tacking NCO, just tacking a specialist, even if it's not pure, still adds that efficiency, and it's practically free, and sometimes it's just perfectly reasonable. Number one thing I'm thinking of is like Bulleteer Blade. Not pure, a Bulleteer is perfectly fine as a gunfighter in and of itself, and giving it an engineer and tack awareness and covering that 8-inch range band is enough, even without the bonus.
Yeah. You could. I always tend to think of those things as, I'm adding those skills to my Bulleteer, right? And an extra order to that Bulleteer for the cost of whatever the blade is.
Yep.
You just think of it as like an upgrade to the Bulleteer.
Well, because you're not adding the blade to your list for the Bulleteer specifically. It does other things.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can staple it to the Bulleteer for free, basically, and it's so multiplicative to the power of a Bulleteer, is why it's so good.
Yep. Fireteam traps for the duos. Adding 2 units of the same range bands. Exception being level 2 ARO duos, which might become a thing in the future. Haven't seen too many of them, but they might become a thing. But having 2 Spitfire range band guns sometimes isn't the most optimal. Mismatched move values or movement skills. So having a 4/4 dude linked with maybe a super jump 8 dude, that's just not going to last. And sometimes that active model just becomes a babysitter for a support model. So you can just leave it behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'll be fine.
If like you don't get any of the bonuses and all that sort of thing, and you find that your active model's just babysitting it, the other thing is, if it's like a good gunfighter, have it go clear the way, and then next turn bring up the model that needed babysitting when it's clear. Like doing it the other way and just having this really important model that's really squishy but you really need in the middle of like a gunfight, it's just not worth it.
Yep. Yeah. You have to watch. Be careful on the support model you bring up, because sometimes that may be a more key piece to your scenario plan to push a button than the gunfighter that's dragging it along. So be careful on overextending and risking it because it was a free movement.
Yep.
I was thinking what you were just saying about the ARO duos.
Think the Jan Bazan sniper duo.
I was thinking the 2 High Dukes.
Yeah, so something, an arrow duo that wants to sit in the back, never move, and conveniently get a bonus from the other one.
Yeah, just wants to be a problem.
Yeah.
Cool. What makes a great Harris?
So you're gonna go ahead.
So you give that +1 special dice to an impure model. So in that situation, you've generally grabbed 2 members of a type of fire team, and then you've either slotted in a wild card or just another option in that fire team to kind of give it the best of both worlds. An example I can think of that you can actually do in vanilla Pano is you grab a Nisei with its HMG, MSV2, and Mimetism 3, and then you link that with a Patsy and a Helot, and that is 3 regular orders because Patsy makes the Helot a regular troop. And that gives the Nisei +1 special die. I'm a little bit enamored with that Harris recently. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I really like the look of it on paper.
That's shit. That's mean.
It's got a whole bunch of stuff too, because Patsy's got an emitter as well, so it's even got ARO presence.
Yep.
And she's Patsy's heavy infantry, right?
Yeah, she is.
She's an orc.
It does a bunch of classifieds just randomly.
Oh my god, that's a really incredible fire team.
Yep.
And it expands the scope of the duo toolboxes. Like, you're adding in an extra guy. Provided that extra guy isn't just there for the +1 special die, you're going to be multiplicatively increasing the amount of stuff that team can do.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, ignoring the fact that Patsy's already an incredible model as far as just bringing it along as a duo, that Helot is a great example of you've brought something up the board that can really do well in ARO in defending that Nisei, in defending Patsy, because it's got the neurocynetics with an extra special die.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's incredible. That's an incredible model.
Yep. And even though the level 3 bonus is a lot less impactful than it was previously, don't forget it if you've earned it. The more important thing to think about with that level 3 bonus, if you have those 3 pure members, that just means if one person dies, you still have +1 special die.
Yep.
It's like, you cannot give a shit all you want about having +3 to discover and the +1 to dodge. It's like, I can lose a dude and still have one extra, the special die? Fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this. Sensor is still sensor. It's not like it doesn't allow you to discover in zone of control.
It does.
Correct.
Well, of course it does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't allow you to do. Yeah.
Is not the sensor pulse is not a discover roll, but sensor also gives you a +2 discover, which would be cumulative with this.
I've been trying to rack my brain of like an example of when you'd want to.
We've
like,
got one coming up.
Jacob, so
okay.
if you have Patsy and Patsy and 2 Helots, that is +9 to discover.
Don't worry, Jacob. I have the perfect example. It's probably the only one in the game, but I don't play Shinden, so I have to have IRO on it.
Let me
I
see.
literally just listed another one, Tristan, is Patsy and 2 Helots.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, because the Helots have the bonus. No?
Yes.
Patsy and 2 Helots is fine for certain missions. You are missing that long range gun except for an emitter, but still very, very good.
Of course, because the sensor gives you the bonus, doesn't it, to discover as looking at things. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So if you've got a link with a sensor bot, that +3 to discover is actually really good.
Yeah, I don't think there's many sensor bots that get.
I don't think there are any sensor bots that have keywords. But
so after all this spiel, the most common 3-man links you're going to see are links that require 3 people to get that level 2 bonus.
Yes.
All right.
What are some examples of some traps with Haris teams? Well, one of them is overbuilding. So if you're trying to prioritize getting to that level 3 bonus is going to lead to you adding troops to that team that you probably don't actually want in that team. It's going to lead to you like doubling or even tripling up on something that, while on its own is probably fine, if you're adding that instead of something else better and just accepting the +1 special dice, you are making a worse overall team, generally speaking. And Haris, where, again, that leads into the second point, is if you try and build a Haris team where a duo would be totally sufficient. Prioritizing the limited Haris slots that you actually have. So Fireteam Master is great because it's cheap and it turns irregular orders regular, and it's a great way to sort of allow you to take more expensive stuff in the rest of your list, especially if it's one of the factions where you do get to double dip in terms of Haris teams. So Morats basically has the fire team, has the Fireteam Master and has 2 Harises is a great example. But Fireteam Master, while it is great, it does eat up an entire fire team slot.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that.
I was facing this with Winter White Banner, where I kept wanting to make the Monk Harris, but then that took away from having another more effective Harris.
Thankfully,
So I
you
was
can
like-
just a lot of those you can just do it as a duo
Yeah.
at least. Like Liankai and a Shaolin Monk is arguably just as good because of the special die.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So I think with that, the trade-off, like Fireteam Master can get you cheap orders, but if you spent that Harry slot to make an efficient fire team that actively did what you want, that could be more order efficient than having those extra regular orders.
You're getting 3 extra regular orders at best if those Shaolin live, versus the efficiency you get from having a whole nother Harris that's actually doing stuff aside from just throwing smoke and punching face.
Yes. Yep.
And the other thing with this is generally the FT Masters is like for like warbands and stuff, and having them so close together that you need for a Harris can be detrimental to your gameplay when generally you need that smoke spread out.
What makes a great core?
I don't know, Tristan. What does make a great call?
Well, you get the +1 ballistic skill from that 4-man link bonus. You also get 6 Sense, which is a very, very rare commodity today, with the level 5 bonus. Balancing the number of models with the depth of its toolbox, there's very few factions that can do this really well. Morats is the obvious example, where the options for their links are really, really versatile, but there are some traditional N4 links that are just 5 Fusiliers or 5 Moderators or something like that, and that could be seen as a waste. The level 5 bonus is difficult to build for, especially now. The keywords might not have kept up with the changes to the fire teams. The keywords are still very N4-esque. And even losing one member is really going to take away a lot of that strength. So sometimes it's not worth building up to that, especially if it's costly. But the core as a whole traditionally sometimes functions as an extra Harris slot. Just having another 3-man core, it could be the peak efficiency for the fire team that you want.
Yeah, I find with the level 5 bonus in N5, like not only is it tougher to get to, but it's harder to maintain, and that's a bigger discouragement for me of aiming for 6 Sense than it was in N4, where N4 I knew I could lose one model and keep it.
Yep.
But at N5, as soon as you lose the first model, it's gone, and it was a lot of work to build for.
Yes,
Good.
I think
Fuck
that's
6 Sense.
Yes.
yeah. That's
Yes, like I agree. It is an excellent place to be in for the rules.
Yep.
Yeah, this is this level, like going from 4 to 5, like going from Harris to a 4 to 5 core, is where you see the biggest like balance has happened between N4 and N5 teams. Where before, if you got an N4, if you got to pure 5, right, that was not only was that like generally a good thing to have, but it was a full proper obstacle that if your opponent got unlucky or just failed to actually manage to negate, could win you the entire game. Now, with only, at best getting +1 ballistic skill and even just having 6 Sense, which is obviously a lesser version of the N4 6 Sense, even the most Death Starry or Castle-y core is difficult to deal with, but not nearly to the point of impossibility that some N4 ones were.
the strength of 6 Sense was heavily amplified by the fact that you were either getting +3 ballistic skill with these pure teams. We talk about a lot. The Suryat was incredibly powerful because it was base BS16 and very difficult to reduce it off that number. Whereas nowadays, it'll be base BS14, and it's throwing the same, it's throwing on the same numbers as most tags, except it's throwing less dice, which means statistically it's probably going to lose that fight over 3-4 orders. Whereas on BS16, you probably, we've heard some stories about some Suryats just burning tags to the ground because BS16 is pretty fucked. But
there was.
Yep.
There was just plenty of immovable objects in N4.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the whole link of N4, a 5-man required you to kill 2 pieces to drop that 6 cents. Now it's only 1. So it's a lot easier, even not directly fighting the ARO piece, it's a lot easier to get them off of that 6 cents.
Yeah.
So what are some traps with cores, Tristan?
Well, like we've been saying, building like it's N4. I don't think the 4 moderators and Riot Girl strategy is going to work anymore.
No.
That link does not have 6 cents. You've just made a BS14 Riot Girl, and now it's not even throwing 2 proper dice. It's just throwing 1.5 dice.
And Frenzy is no longer suppressed either. Ugh.
And Frenzy is no longer suppressed.
That's right.
So looking at it now, those 5 slots before, a third of your army might have been worth it for a really strong ARO piece. It's really difficult to deal with. Now, if that Riot Girl goes down, you have 4 useless models sitting in the back of your DZ.
Grouped up.
Which could easily have just been either, I'm not sure if they can duo, but 2 Riot Girls or 2 moderators and a Riot Girl. Either or. We can get a very similar effect with less models.
Yeah.
Prioritizing level 5 bonuses over better models. Level 5 bonuses are great. Again, they're easy to lose. Sometimes Fireteams benefit way more from having that doctor or having that specialist or having that disco baller rather than getting that 6 cents.
Also, sometimes they benefit from having a really good gun that doesn't count toward purity.
Yes.
Yep.
So having the option of a ballistic skill 13 with a with visual mods versus a ballistic skill 11 with no visual mods, it's something you have to think about when you're building it, rather than just defaulting to the purity bonuses will outfight the model's gun skills.
Yes. One thing I'm fucking loving about N5 is that N4 was, if I want an ARO piece, default Fireteam. Nowadays, it's not default Fireteam. A TR Thunderbolt for 19, 20 points could be way better than a 3-4 man Fireteam a lot of the time, just because it's throwing more dice and it has the better range bands than a HRL, for example, and it's a single unit that's not, taking up my slots to do other things. The ARO game has widened massively, and Fireteams,
They
on
did
that
almost.
Sorry. On that note, with talking about arrows, a lot of times you can get more out of 2 duos that get the special die than out of 1 core that gets more bonuses, because they can be in 2 places at once.
Yep. What are you going to say, Jacob?
Oh, I was going to say, they did almost nothing as far as like the neurocynetics models pretty much across the game were concerned. But suddenly, this Fireteam change has meant that all of those models are almost better than any single Fireteam ARO that you can create.
Close to it.
Very close to it, yeah.
A Sin Eater in ARO is probably better than a Riot Girl in Tire Link, and he's like 40 points less.
I would say they're competitive in that there's no longer the default, if I want a major gunfighter, it is in a pure core. It's now, do I take a core that has a decent gunfighter, there's an okay gunfighter, make it a little bit better, or do I take a good gunfighter but that they can't link? They're all now overlapping far more in power level, and what visual mods or what bonuses you can stack can weight the scales in your favor in most of these cases.
The majority of the power comes from the unit itself, not the bonuses you're giving it. The
Yeah.
Fusilier missile launcher was incredible because it got +3 BS and 6 cents.
Mhm.
Now, it's not so great because it's not getting that massive BS bonus. The reason why the Sin Eater would be a great ARO is because inherently it gets those skills. It is inherently a good unit. The reason why the Riot Girl was a good unit is because it had MSV1 and, you know, a good gun, and it was cheap.
Mhm.
So now the fire team's less about like building this unit up on a pillar. It kind of has to stand on its own strengths, and we fill out the weaknesses and kind of widen the purpose.
Yeah. And if you want to take a look, all the effort you put into making into that, like let's say 4-man with an impure gun like the Riot Girl, you're giving it 5% better shots.
Yep.
So like all that effort, all those models, all that disadvantage, and you made it 5% better.
Another
sorry. As far as this BS goes, I should say.
another thing to note is since the special die will give you the same odds as you did in N4, but the lethality is cut in half. You can only hit once out of the 2 dice you're rolling. So a Riot Girl missile launcher that previously would be fighting a tag on equal footing, the tag could whiff at shots and explode in one order. Now, even if the Riot Girl crits, there's a really decent chance that you're going to live through that single missile hit. So my risk has gone down as the tag player, so I'm much more likely to fight that Riot Girl, which is probably going to end up worse for you, because statistically the odds are slightly in my favor.
Yeah.
All right.
So, before we go on to examples, we should probably talk about level 1 fire teams. Specifically, are they even viable? For duos, I'd say conditionally yes, because we can have some good examples where you've got a model that doesn't really care if it's in a fire team or not, and then you stick a support model onto it.
Yeah.
So you have the tag with the specialist, the mid-range gunfighter with someone who's delivering visual mods. But also, does it matter if they're viable if they're free?
Yes.
There's unlimited duos and sectorals. So if in doubt, and you're taking the models anyways, sure, deploy them as a duo. And if you don't need them as a duo by the time your first turn comes around, just let them go their separate ways, and you've lost nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
For a Haris, probably no. I couldn't think of any good examples, but I wouldn't rule them out.
The only one I can think of is Biotech 4.
Yes. Okay.
It's like, I need to get these guys together and move them all with one order. That is the only thing I could think of in terms of like these level 1 fire teams.
Yeah.
I
guess.
I would probably say in the future we'll actually see more. The difference between a gunfighter and a gunfighter with a special dice really isn't that much, I don't think. And potentially people might discover that just tacking on the doctor and the smoke, even if it doesn't give the bonus, just might be a little bit more efficient in terms of orders, give you a little bit more options.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, I can't, off the top of my head, think of a fire team where either one of those wouldn't provide some sort
It's
of level
mostly
of purity.
vanillas, I think.
Yeah, it's mostly vanillas.
I was about to say, the only thing I could think of is, I think, Tunguska Hollow Man Link, where you can take like a hacker, a gunfighter, and like a 10 bot or something like that. And none of them are pure, but that 10 bot bonus is there. The hacker's there, the gunfighter's there. They're all very good individually, right? And together you get that order efficiency where, like, yeah, you're not getting that special dice, but suddenly there's a reason to take them.
Yep.
we mentioned vanillas. Vanillas obviously get one Harris. A lot of vanillas don't really get a decent Harris option. Some do, like Vanilla Pano, get excellent Harris options. You're probably never taking a Harris in Vanilla Pano that doesn't give you a bonus. And when it comes to cores, if you're taking a core of 4 or 5 just different dudes, it's not worth it.
Honestly, if you're taking a core of 5 members that is a level 1 fire team, congratulations. Those are actually pretty hard to make without going out of your way to make it. That said, the Biotech 4 probably is another example of where it might work, but you can probably better use your resources.
You could probably squeeze 2 of the same keyword in there if I think you were trying to really hard.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think the only one I could think of is TAC and the Lion Kazakh. You could manage it.
No. Frontovix count as
Four.
Lion Kazakhs.
No, I'm saying you can manage to do it.
Oh, you can do it. We can do it with wildcards. It's fucking easy. But is it? Are you going to do it?
True.
No.
No,
All right.
literally never.
Part 3. We have some example fire teams. If you find offense with these fire teams, feel free to give us $3 and come yell at us in the Patreon chat.
I'll let anybody yell at me for $3.
Well, there you go, guys.
I get to do it for free.
All right.
Stuck here with me.
No.
We are going to start with some examples of duos, just simple, good, and basic. First
Before we
one.
do get underway,
Ooh, go for it.
I do love how it is going to be extremely clear which one of us wrote these fire teams just by looking at the units that are in these teams.
Yep. So, guys, all of us have probably only had experience with 1.5 factions in N5 so far. So our influence is going to be very easily taken from that. I've tried to broaden my horizons and steal some other fire teams, so I'll try. So the first fire team that I've been running a fair bit is a duo of Layla Sharif and a Ghulam NCO with grenade launchers. Now, Layla counts as a Ghulam, so it is a level 2 link. She has an 8 to 24 inch gun. She's a hacker with her own tin bot. She has EM mines, a character, and decharges, so she does quite a number of classifieds. The Ghulam has NCO, which gives us that extra little order efficiency, and has that +1 special dice smoke grenade launcher to get that 80% of landing a smoke within 24 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Not particularly good at, shooting really hard targets, but is really inexpensive at 37 points. Has, a decent BS-13 gun, and just has the ability to move up the table and do a couple specialist-y things very efficiently.
Well, I think this is a good example of duos don't necessarily have to be amazing.
Yep.
This is 2 models that you're probably taking anyways because they're good, nice models. And if you duo them, they become just a bit better.
Yep.
I mean, this is an example of you've paid 1 SWIC and 15 points to upgrade Leah Sharif with NCO and a smoke
Or
grenade
the other
launcher.
way around, my friend.
Yes.
I think they're very symbiotic in the fact that
Right.
one of them is helping the other just as much as the other is helping the one. They need each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could make the argument that the Ghulam NCO is more default for a Hawk list than
Right.
Layla. Yeah. And
Yeah,
she was in
true.
there to modify it.
Yep. She's a good fit. If you're going to take an NCO, she's a very good fit to fill the roles the NCO needs to kind of make itself worth it.
Mhm.
Yep.
On that speaking note, our second duo, I find, is a really good example of how, since duos are unlimited, they don't need to do everything. They can just be there for a single defined purpose. And that is the Tanuki regular hacker with pitchers and disco bowlers, and the Tanuki chain of command. So the whole point of this is to get +1 special dice on pitchers and disco ballers.
Yeah.
The fact that the second member is a chain of command is really, really nice because you just want that anyway. But this isn't a gunfighting link. This isn't unless it's turn 3 maybe, like this isn't a run up the table and do mission link. This is, I'm shooting pitches here, I'm shooting disco ballers here, and that's my job.
I think, especially like the way disco ballers and pitches being disposable weapons goes, if you can be like, I have a pitcher, can I link it with something to give it that extra accuracy or disco baller? This is fine. Just do it. You're not hurting yourself by doing it.
Just to clarify, because Kevin's yelling at me, Layla has Firewall. It's not Tinbot, but she herself has Firewall. Not that it really matters for the Ghoul Arm. You'll be able to spotlight
the
him
doesn't
on.
get protection against spotlight.
No, he doesn't. But yep, she's very self-sufficient. Anyway, all right. So classic tag duos. Jacob, one of these is yours.
Yeah. So I mean, look, both of these are pretty much saying the same thing. Take a Squallow Mark II, right, with the Blade FTO Engineer. Again, you're getting no sort of purity in that link, but you do have a very good.
You're bringing 5 orders, is what you're bringing.
It's a friggin' tag, right? It's got, right, the score's
5
got
orders!
NCO, you've got tack awareness, right? And then, who else has, does Blade also have tack awareness?
Yeah, Blade has tack awareness.
Yeah. So you've got a shit ton of orders. So that is one thing. If you can find a way of shoving, like, orders that only go into a particular fire team, into a particular fire team.
Jacob, I don't think you didn't put the Blade that has tack awareness. Oh, no, you did. No, you did.
Yeah. I also
Jacob
did
didn't do it, I did it.
I also did it.
How
Put this all
dare you,
together.
Jordan?
I mean, to be fair, Tristan, I would also expect you to make that probably mistake.
Oh, would you? Oh, okay.
Also allows you to tag does all the gunfighting with the Blade following up to do any sort of objectives.
Yep, and the Blade is a MIM3 BS13 SMG, which covers the weak range bands of that Squallow.
And that is one of the biggest things with these.
Wait, what? No, the Squallow has a fucking multi-pistol +1 burst.
Does it have mimetism?
No, it's BS15 though.
Yeah, who cares?
It does, but the other thing is being able to like literally watch their back. You know, one parachutist can really wreck like any tag's day. Slightly different, but also sort of that providing that support to your tag. We've got the Orphan and the Stigmatron. So very similar. Obviously, the Stig is a specialist in its own right, so it doesn't necessarily need the Engineer Orphan. And it does have like its own heavy flamethrower, so it can sort of defend that close thing. But again, you've got an engineer to repair the Stig if it ever takes a wound or it starts getting really hurt. The other thing it provides is the Orphan provides a repeater to the Stig that allows the Orphan to run ahead into some sort of danger zone that the Stig wants to stay away from. The next order is the Stig hacking through the Orphan.
It can be the same order.
It can be the same order.
Activate the Stig, run the Orphan forward,
you're right. Yeah,
there
you are right.
One thing I'd
what
like...
does it do? It makes the Stig neg6 to be hacked.
It does.
Yes.
One thing I'd like to point out about the Squallow Blade is, yes, the Squallow might be good at shooting close. If the thing you're shooting at has a EM template, sometimes you just throw the blade in and go, fuck it, template me, bitch. I'll die, and then the Squallows kind of remove that threat to it.
Also, if you're in between, well, it doesn't really work because the blade can't shoot that well.
What you can actually do there, Tristan, is you spend a regular order to move the blade into the EM template range. You shoot them with the with your submachine gun, and then you use your tack aware order to clear states, and then you reform the duo.
Yep.
That is something you can do.
Right.
It's so niche.
Any army that has any sectorial, any vanilla, any sectorial that has tag engineer is a good spend of your unlimited duos.
Like Vanilla Pano? Vanilla Pano, this is a duo from Vanilla Pano.
Oh, fuck off.
I think unironically though, like tag plus engineer is fine. Like the Stig plus Orphan is a step above that. Like it is the best version of that, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Do you? Because my initial thought is the Squallow Blade is better.
No, I think the fact that you basically give the Stig a 16-inch, like 2 8-inch hacking bubbles.
Yep.
You make it neg6 to hack with the firewall as well, and the fact that it is also a repeater, It is just the best version of that fire team, in my opinion.
I think I would say honestly, both of these are on similar levels, but for different reasons, right? The Orphan enhances what the Stig can kind of do, which is the like hacking, I'm a tag, all that sort of thing. While as in the Blade is use all my orders first, right, to do your movement, and then do all the shooting stuff. The Scholar wants to shoot and spend orders shooting. You need those extra orders. The
It's
Stig
more
is not going to do that.
enhance for the Stig, and more we're filling out what the Squalo doesn't have for the Blade.
What do you mean? The Squalo has orders.
No, I think
but now it's got a bunch of extra orders.
They enhance each other for what that tag wants to do.
You get one additional activation with the Squalos Blade
Two.
duo. The NCO on the Squalo doesn't count; it just has NCO.
No, I'm just talking
naturally.
about the Blade and the Takaware.
Yeah,
but it's
does the engineer not bring a regular order, Tristan?
No, I'm just saying.
No, hold on, Tristan.
Well,
does the
hold
Orphan...
on. Being in a duo doesn't necessarily grant you an extra order just because it doesn't have Takaware. You're gonna have 10 orders anyway.
Yeah. So
yeah,
the Blade gives you one extra order.
Yep.
It gives you one additional.
Yeah.
Not two.
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
were saying two.
Well, you know what I meant. Anyway, enough about tag duos. They're both very good. Obviously, the Stig is just great.
Yeah, we are way less scientific than we were during the fucking previous one. Hopefully, people will still get something out of this.
Fireteam builds are more of an art.
Fireteam build is definitely like where you see a lot of the sort of personality of someone come out.
Yep.
It is much more, way more personal than just here are some Infinity fundamentals. You should learn them.
Playing Infinity, I've seen plenty of fire teams were like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then at the end of the game, I was like, oh, that's why you did it. That's incredible.
All right, let's move on. Mid-range gun and smoke. Jacob, you added this, and I hate it.
Yeah, it was the only example I could think of you got your mid-range gunfighter. You need to provide them with some sort of smoke to get up the board.
Was that the only example you could think of?
At a short notice, yes.
Cool.
The first one that came to my head.
It's kind of bad now, but my first impression was like Unknown Ranger and a Varangian.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's lost MSV1 in Cosmoflot. Separate issue, but similar kind of thing. There are some linkable warbands that get like a wild.
Oh yeah, there we go. Tanuki Hacker plus Rushi. There.
Whatever, Ivory.
No.
We'll talk
about
that later. We'll talk about that later.
Ivory's correct here.
FT Master Duo, Liang Kai and Shaolin.
Oh.
Yeah, again, and just an example of using FT Master in duos. This is great because what it does is it allows you to. You're running the Shaolin up. You need some smoke. You're also delivering Liang Kai to the midfield where he wants to be, where he can start jumping on top of other models to just absolutely fuck them up. This is where I think a lot of FT masters can sit comfortably because from N4 you don't need the 3 models so long as they have the same keywords, because you don't need those 3 models to get the extra burst. It's worth just having it, if you can do this, just having it as a smoke thrower who's a regular, Liang Kai. Don't worry about the third dude.
Yep.
Just because you could add another another Shaolin monk to get another regular order, I find it's just not worth it.
Yeah. So some others to sort of just like brush over, because there is a wide range of these like FT master teams, and there are some that are much better than others.
Yep.
So I'd say like outside of this duo, the next best one is maybe like the Magistrate and the Jackals, just in Pano, because I think the Jackals are exceptional, and the Magistrate pairing with them, they protect the Magistrate, and they also offer some ARO presence as well. Kevin mentioned Lobo, NCOs, and Diablos for obvious reasons. One Ivory mentioned was Jinquo plus a Shaolin Monk and a mid-ranged gunfighter.
Yep.
Or it just, Shaolin Monk and Jinquo on its own is a mid-range gunfighter and smoke. And one that is not Fireteam Master is, Hippo plus Psychop is good.
One thing to remember on the Fireteam Master duos, not all Fireteam Master Fireteams can
Have-
duo.
No, not all of them can.
So check your options, make sure that
I'm
they
guessing
actually
the
can
OSNAT
form
doesn't.
the Fireteam. The OSNAT does not, yes.
Yes.
Which is, I mean,
Well,
I can't imagine
because
taking
there's an
that one in
OSNAT that
M5.
comes with one pet,
Yeah.
but it's a peripheral.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
So,
can I just, yeah.
Tristan, can you explain to me how this duo of 3 models works?
Hold on, I gotta scroll down. All right, so I've been testing a little thing where since the power band has dropped from 3 to 2, I'm just gonna like try and link 2 wildcards together because Asawira are just amazing. So what we have here, we have an Asawira Spitfire, we have an Asawira boarding shotgun +1 burst with Disco Baller, and to link them together, we have a Ghulam LT +1 command token.
Can I make a guess here? Is the idea here with the wild card duo that the Asawiras just run the fuck away from
Yep.
the Ghulam and leave him behind
Yep.
and get to stay as a duo?
Yep. You leave your LT in the back, in the DZ, with the decoy on the other side. The 2 Asawira fuck off. They keep the level 2 bonus. So you've got a burst 2 BS14 Disco Baller, and you've got a burst 4.5 AP Spitfire. They run up the table. They do Asawira things. They both have stealth. They both have regen. BS14, Whip 14, ripping people in half.
Like a burst 3.5 boarding shotgun isn't anything to sneeze at either.
It's really, really, really good.
At BS14? Oh, yeah.
Yep. BS17 Disco Ballers in good range on 2 dice twice is really, really good too.
Yeah. Or 3 times if you use the double shoot, right? If you like want to guarantee it.
Yes.
Yeah, 1.5 and 1, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing to note on this, it is not actually a duo. It is still a Haris of 2 models.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means it still occupies your Haris slot, and you cannot make another Haris to fill that slot without removing this one.
Correct.
Yeah, until the team breaks.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
As much as we joke about it being a duo.
Yep.
And if it all matters, if this ever breaks, you can't reforge
You
it.
cannot reforge.
Oh,
It's
but
just a cheeky
it's-
way of putting wildcards together.
it's 2 people.
Yep.
The most likely time it will break is one is dead.
Yep.
True. No, that's true. The only because the heavy infantry is just hacking.
Mhm.
Yep. In case this is an example, in case anyone thought, "Oh, I'm gonna have to drag a Ghulam up the table." No,
No.
the fire team will only break in certain situations, and the linking member dropping out does not break the link.
Yeah, there will be certain examples, if they still exist, where the fire team will say, if this unit leaves, the fire team goes away. I don't know if that exists
That's
anymore.
It's part of
only
Fire
exists
Team Master.
only exists for Fire Team Master. There's no longer
yeah.
like 3 different versions of that fire team, which used to shit me up the wall something wicked.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Bad fire team duos. You can see that I wrote these. So the first one of our examples was having kind of matching range band issues. So what I have a Muyib Spitfire and a Muyib HRL. They're slightly different range bands, but you're missing so much close range stuff. Your 2
You
heavy
give on these
swick
balls.
weapons. Sorry?
Moo yib on these balls.
Oh my god. They're doing effectively the same job. And even so, I picked this because some new players might actually be drawn to it because they both have tactical awareness, and they're kind of different guns. This kind of feels to me like you should split them off and add different units under them. Neither of them are specialists. They're kind of begging for a specialist. So that HRL kind of wants to be the ARO pace, and that Spitfire kind of wants to run up the table. So yeah, not the best fire team.
Yeah,
I look at it and think both of these models want to be the focus and the star of their fire team.
This bounty hunter fire team is impressively bad. Like this is impressively shit.
I tried really hard to make it bad.
Right, so this is going off the mismatch
like,
move speed as well.
yes,
Yeah,
this is
so
an
it's
example.
like it is. So it's mismatch move speed. It's high. It's like incredibly mismatched move speed. It's an irregular. One member is irregular. So if you ever spend that order, the fire team breaks.
I tried to make it so that people might legitimately take it though.
I think people would almost make this one if they did make it like on mistake. They think it works.
A very, very new player might see that they have the same keyword, so I'm getting a Spitfire, and they might take the Motorized Bounty Hunter because it gets those 2 Templars instead of the 1, and it covers that 0 to 8 inch range band. That was my logic. It's really hard to make bad fire teams.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is a Bounty Hunter Spitfire with a Motorized Bounty Hunter SMG Chain Colt +1 burst. Obviously, Bounty Hunter only goes 4/4. Motorized Bounty Hunter goes 8/6. Unless the Bounty Hunter rolls 8/4 move. 1 in 20, or 1 in 20 and then 1 in 20 again. Whatever that ends up being. Yeah, this is bad. The link is going to break by second order, more than likely. And even though they kind of fill the gaps of each other, it's not practical.
Yeah. I mean, another one that sort of feels the same, I was just taking a look for Nomads, is Morlock and Perseus. It's a duo that you can make. They both do about the same thing as far as like throwing smoke and CC, and have no reason to be together.
Yep.
Ignoring the irregularity of Morlocks.
All right. Examples of Harrises. Jacob.
Yeah, so this is one of my almost kind of favorite ones that I'm using recently, which is a Shang-Ji, the Shang-Jesus, which is AP HMG with 10 bot -6. The Zhanshi Hacker, which is just the basic dude hacker. And the Zhanshi Yixing, which is the doctor. So this provides you with the bonus, because both the Zhanshi and the Zhanshi Yixing have the same keywords. You've got a hacker that gets a -6/10 bot. It also provides that deterrent for another hacker getting too close to the Shang-Chi, as well as a doctor who can do all your doctor objectives, as well as obviously Doctor the Shang-Chi if it ever goes down. All together in a relatively, small package.
The only downside here is that you're playing a Shang-Chi.
What's wrong with the Shang-Chi?
He's taking the piss, Jake.
I know.
Yeah.
The next one. Oh, I'm almost having PTSD from this fucking thing.
Oh, I can go over
is 2 Kaitoks. One being the 2 chain rifle and Flamenspear, one being the heavy rocket launcher, as well as a Rindecked FTO paramedic who has a submachine gun, adhesive launcher, and flash pulse +1. I mean,
most importantly with the Rindak, medkit +1 burst.
Yes.
Naturally.
Yeah. So this is like.
Is that in its like little profile thing up top? Yeah. Oh fuck, that's so good.
Yeah, and so it's fast, it's tanky, it covers its range bands well. It brings its own specialist to push buttons, and at +1 burst on the med kit, even though it won't get a special die bonus to recover one of the Kaitoks, it's still shooting 2 darts into them.
It's and the Rendek's the like heavy, not the Rendak. The Kaitok's the heavy, the heavy.
It's the S5.
Yeah,
it's the 20-point S5.
Yeah, and then the Rendak's got the amazing amount of like special rules that make them awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the one thing I'll say of this particular link over the Shang-Chi one I put up is that the 2 Zhanshi don't provide much protection to anything else. Like, they can't really fight, whereas the Rindak, the Kaitok and the Rindak can, go prone. The other Kaitok can stay standing up. They can cover the other zones. You got submachine gun, got a flash pulse flash pulse, which is just good, as well as the burst 3 chain rifle, plus their special dice. I mean, it's all active turn, but that's a lot of defense that you can provide what is a not insignificant ARO piece.
I mean, in active turn, the Rindak has a burst 2.5 flash pulse.
Yeah, there's a lot of burst there in active turn and a lot of decent defense in the reactive turn.
Very, very nice.
Yep.
All right. Level 2 Harrises. So this is Harrises with only 2 of the 3 keywords.
Oh, it's one of my favorite ones up top.
I think up top I've copied Hector's link, I think fairly closely, or if not exactly. So we have the Crux Knight FTO with multi-marksman rifle, drop bears, and D-charges. Incredible piece. Linked with Bipandra, who is a Doctor reroll -3 with the Burst 2 Medikit with tactical awareness. And the Link Glue that rounds it all off is a 5/5 Mine Layer who has Albedo -6 and Armed Turret Marksman Rifle, which is also Mine Layer.
Yeah. It's a great
These
link.
fucks.
Like, it's a 10 out of 10 link.
To be honest,
You can,
the Crux Knight by itself is link power. Adding this on,
That Crux Knight, if you stand him up in ARO, shoots 3 dice.
3 dice.
Yeah. I got lucky the first time I faced one of this ones that a Hundun did a very good job of getting rid of this similar fire team because they're scary.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, we have an Osnat Firemaster or Fireteam Master.
Oh, fucking
so
obsession with the smoke grenade launcher. I swear to God, Nick.
What? No, the smoke grenade launcher is the answer for Osnats now.
So upsetting. It was so bad
So-
in Ed 4.
Oh, it was horrible in N4. It is the answer in N5, and it's cheaper. So Osnat with smoke grenade launcher and 2 Gakis. So we've got 23 points for 3 regular orders, and the 2 Gakis make it a level 2 fire team, even though they can't anchor it, and that gives the special die for the smoke grenade launcher.
It is weird that, like, the Osnat is, like, the only one of those, like, counts as teams where she doesn't count as the thing.
Yep.
No, and it's also weird that Fireteam Master, the keyword is hungries.
Yeah.
Which means both Gakis and Pretas, because in one of their stat lines says they are both hungries, but then hungry isn't a keyword for the actual fire team.
No.
Then they become hungries, or they become Gakis and Pretas again and don't count toward each other. But in the same fire team, they do count because of Fireteam Master. It's
Yeah.
I think this link really works because Morats get 2 Harrises and a core.
it does. Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah,
exclusively because of that, honestly.
Yeah, if it couldn't, you'd be in the same thing with Liang Kai, where you just wouldn't do this.
Yeah. Although, for this example, want to make it the cheapest possible. In an actual list, I would probably have these as 2 Pretas, because then they bring chain rifles, and now you have a special die smoke grenade launcher and 2 corner guards.
Yeah, I mean the good thing about this is that it's similar to what we were saying about the pitches. Is if you need to drop smoke at a reasonable range, you stand the Osnat up, right? You get the bonus, and then you've just got 23 points for 3 orders, especially in Morats. It's pretty fucking good.
Very good. All right, Jacob.
What?
Something very similar.
Yes, very similar. Slightly different reason for it. This is sort of the idea of you've got FT Master, Morlocks, and Zellenkriegers, I think, on Taskmaster. But it doesn't have the same keyword as the Morlocks. So if you want to get the burst bonuses, you need to take the Morlocks with you. Luckily for this, Taskmaster needs some help, a decent amount of help, and the addition of smoke, as well as good CC guys to defend them, as well as providing him with the extra burst. This is a worthwhile link. In Bakunin, where you're probably going to run this guy, some other core, and then you've got enough of other expensive like infiltrators to spend your points on.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for you to run a Cenobite core, this Harris, a tag duo, or even just a tag by itself, and you can fill the rest out fairly easily.
Yeah. I just wanted to give an example of where like you need to do that sort of thing where you have to take those 2 Morlocks in an FT Master link where one just won't do.
Yeah. Yeah, the real benefit from here, you need to take 2 to get that burst of smoke and to get that burst to the gun, because the thing forming the Fireteam Master is actually a main gun piece rather than a smoke provider or a CC specialist or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's like with these duos and these Harrises at like this level 2 level at this level 2 bonus level is they can take sort of, I suppose, like a plain gunfighter up to be good, whereas like he doesn't have any vis mods or any extra burst or anything like that, so he needs the help.
Yep. All right. Here are my examples for some level 3 Harrises. Now, Ivory's in the chat and is a resident Shinden player and might scream and yell at me, but I think it's a cool idea. So, we have a Harris here of a Rushi MSV2 Spitfire, the Tanuki Hacker, and a Yamabushi Paramedic. Now, the idea of this is the Rushi has MSV2, which ignores mimetism. You can buff it with marksmanship, and it's getting +3 to discover from the Fireteam bonuses. So it's discovering on 16s all the way to 32, I think is the numbers.
And it's also a repeater for the Tanuki.
It's a repeater for the Tanuki. I think we mentioned before that Ivory likes to just run the Rushi and Tanuki as a duo. That's definitely very good. Adding the Yamabushi adds that chain rifle. It adds a little bit of redundancy with like the CC skills. And gives you that really weird edge case of like really high level discovers.
You can just sort of like walk that link up the table and then just deposit the Yamabushi like you're dropping a kid off at daycare. You deposit the Yamabushi in their DZ. And you're like, go have fun, little guy.
Yeah.
Also, just like super cheap paramedic. And one of the good things, I suppose, is where like you take a look at the level 3 bonus is robots are famously not great at dodging because of their low fears. +1, it's like it's only 5%, but it is 10% better than its regular numbers.
The other thing to point out is if one of these models dies, the Link team maintains. So the Tanuki could die, the Yamabushi could die, and that Rushi is still getting that burst bonus.
Yeah.
So that's half of the level 3 bonus. The other half coming in the dodge bonus might be useful for 3 Teutons, maybe? This is kind of a really common N4 link of Teuton Spitfire NCO, Teuton Specialist SMG, and the regular Teuton light shotgun with a tin bot.
I think this is one that hasn't made the transition smoothly into N5 just because of Teutons gaining that limited cover, making them a lot less useful as a gunfighter, just because everything is going to essentially have better BS than them now.
Yep. So that is a great example of, you know, losing that frenzy benefit. Really kind of turns a Teuton Spitfire into kind of a mid gun almost. Like, sure,
definitely.
It's throwing 5 dice, but anything hitting it back is hitting it back on +3 most of the time. It could be neat. I mean, this team really loves to it could deal with some flash pulses. It could run into your DZ and be really, really, really annoying.
It's fine. Like, right, you can just like run it out and like they're dodging on like, what is it, 18s or 19s? Yeah.
18s, yeah.
Like they'll cartwheel into a DZ with fucking impunity, but like I don't know. This is what I'd want to spend a Harry slot on.
I think we might see that +1 dodge being worth it. Is like, I know there's only one that I know of right now because I'm looking at it. Is if you've got high fears, but your dodge is bigger than your last move, just that extra bit of like reliability in doing like that move dodge. So Jonah's the mobility armor is 6-2, but if you move 6 and then dodge, you dodge 4.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't honestly. We're kind of grasping at straws here. So the message is the level 3 bonus isn't that good, and it's not something to necessarily strive for if it's going to be at the detriment of another duo.
Yeah, look, don't build for the level 3 bonus, but if you just have it, it's cool. It's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is Marge Simpson holding the potato.
Well-
I just think they're neat.
I think aside from the bonus, the real power in the level 3 bonus is maintaining the redundancy of I've lost a model and I still have the level 2 bonus.
That
Yes.
is the biggest benefit.
Sweet. All right. Bad examples. Oh boy. This is something, I think this first link I threw at Jordan one time and I thought, oh, it could work, I swear. So
No, your version of it had like a fucking it had like a helot in there for some reason.
okay. So we have a Bulleteer Spitfire. We have the Blade Engineer. Great duo. We have a repeater. Let's just chuck a Bolt Killer Hacker in there. Why not? It is a level 3 team with no bonuses. It doesn't really have like a defined purpose. It wants to run at the table and it can kind of do stuff, but is adding that bolt worth it?
No, because what you would rather do is you'd rather just cut that bolt out of it and just pair the bolt with a bolt sniper. And then that way you have one duo that has the special die, and then you have that utility duo with the Blade FTO and the Bulleteer.
Yep. And this is going to be very typical. So this second one I've added is a Gamma Fuhrback and 2 Vidocs, one being a Doctor. I think this is going to be very typical of vanilla links where I'm going to do anything in my power to try and give a gunfighter a special dice. And I think this is an example where I don't think it's worth it. So you're taking up basically the Doctor with NCO. That's kind of fine, to be honest. You're giving NCO and a Doctor to a Gamma is similar to the Tag and Engineer. Adding that second Vidocon to get the special dice is taking up 15 points, a whole extra slot. Is that extra special dice worth it? Debatably no. And I think this is one of the strongest examples of 2 dudes and a gunfighter in a vanilla link. A lot of the other ones are a little bit more expensive than this.
Yeah, it's creeping towards being a bit on the expensive side, but to be honest, this isn't the worst example. Like, this is not bad.
It's not bad. It's almost just you'd rather just have the Gamma by itself, though.
I don't know. Like, it's almost 90 points.
Yeah, it's
like 90. You're paying 90
75?
points to give. No, it's like 90 points.
75.
Is it? No, because it's 51.
85. Sorry, 85.
Yeah, 85.
Yeah, it's expensive as fuck. That's basically the point.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a great thing to do, but as far as like steel manning this argument, it's not bad.
But yeah, so my point is this is one of the cheaper versions of this type of link.
Yeah.
And the benefit, like 90% of the strength of a unit now comes from itself. It doesn't come from the fire team. That extra special dice on the Gamma might not be as valuable as those Vidocs worth 34 points being something else entirely.
Well, you could look at it from the perspective that it's a 50-point model, and you're paying 40 points to give it a special die on its gun.
Yep. Aside from NCO and Doctor as well. So you add that into effect. Yep. But again, Nick's point is like, it's probably not.
For 10 more points, you could just buy a second Gamma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Alright, Tristan. Fucking, I know you added this one.
Yeah! Alright. Fire team examples, cores. So, we're going to be talking about a classic style core and potentially an N5 alteration. So, the classic style core, we have, this is from Assassins, we have Laseek Viral Sniper. That's your long-range aero piece. We have the Laseek Viral Marksman Rifle. That's kind of your Spitfire range, kind of close assault gun. We have a Muyib Doctor, being your Doctor. We have a Govad Hacker, has a boarding shotgun emitter, very common. And we have Layla Sharif because she also is a regular hacker with a killer hacker program. She has EM mines and she has combat instinct as well, like the Govad. This is kind of similar to what people, not exactly the same because Assassins have changed quite a bit, but it's fairly similar to what you want. You've got some specialists, you've got some EM, you've got some long range gun, short range gun, that kind of thing.
This is a this is Baram, isn't it? So this is full pure
That
as
is
well.
that is a level 5 link. They all have the Baram keyword, so they all get 6 cents plus 1 BS. The whole works. What I think
What's the second one you've got?
what I think is going to be a little bit more viable is we're going to take that core and we're going to split it into 2 duos, and we're going to make it so the doctor can be next to both those duos, so it's effectively the same. So we have the Lasik Viral Sniper, who's going to be the ARO piece, attached to Layla. Layla covers a bit of that shorter range band, has the EM mines to maybe protect the Lasik, and has the Combat Instinct hacking device. We then have a Ghulam Doctor and a Nazmat. So the Ghulam Doctor and the Nazmat can be next to both the duos, and the second duo is the active one. We have the Lasik Viral Marksman Rifle. Attached to it is the Govad Hacker with Boarding Shotgun and emitter. So the Boarding Shotgun covers the close range band. The emitter is a really good way of dealing with high armor targets like tags and HI. And the Lasik wants to run around and shoot stuff. The Govad's also the specialist. Both of them have specialists. I think, so what you're losing in this is you're losing a BS, you're losing the level 3 bonuses, and you're losing 6 cents. That, I think this is the style of links we will go to. Having 2 links in 2 different spots is probably more valuable than having all your eggs in one basket. Even that level 5 link on the Lasik is an absolutely fantastic gun. I don't think it holds a candle to the power that N4 pure links had.
No.
There are no links that are as good as they were in N4. Like there are no full 5-man pure links that can even get touch as good as they were in N4.
Yep.
Just by a course of how the design has changed.
So the other thing to note here, another reason why this is potentially really good, is if your opponent peeked your gunfighter in a repeater, your opponent would force you to shoot with one of the models and ARO maybe hack with the other one. If you ARO hack, you've lost 6 cents. So in this case, I can shoot with one link and ARO hack with the other and not lose the bonus.
Yeah, and as Ivory's
Right,
saying
yeah.
here as well, if you already have Combat Instinct, making a level 5 link is just worse. Because the
Yeah.
part you care about is ignoring stealth, which you already do. You don't need 6 heads.
Yeah, I think we'll cover some changes to unit profiles. I think they made because of these link team changes.
Yeah, unfortunately, my example, because I only really play Assassins and Vanilla Pano don't have core links. They do have Combat Instinct, which kind of makes my point a little bit, whatever. But yes.
I'll take the next one if that's alright, because it's a bit of a 2-parter.
Mhm.
So we've got here a example of sort of the level 5 Castle Death Star Fireteams. So the first one is 2 Cenobites, 1 of the rocket launcher, 1 chain rifle, Mother Agatha with the Vulcan shotgun, Reverend Custodia hacking device plus with the boarding shotgun, the Reverend Moira HMG Zapper, and then a Jujak engineer, a regular old Jujak with the tin bot, a Hwarang deactivator, and a Hwarang light shotgun Panzerfaust. The deactivator one has a disco baller and a Hate BS attack guided. So you have a level 5 link and a level 4 link. This is a lot more sort of it's trying to adapt what you could sort of do in N4 and try and bring it forcibly over to N5. And I think it falls into some of the pitfalls we really talked about earlier with, like, you're taking redundant profiles to sort of fill out and try and achieve bonuses that you won't otherwise get to. Like, the White Banner link, for instance, is taking twice the number of Jujaks that I would like to take and twice the number of Hwarangs I would like to take. So, yeah. And the Bakunin link, for example, is just sort of stapled the Reverend Moira in there as well to try and be like a movable kind of fire team, but again, moving 5-man teams around is hard. So on the next slide, we have sort of what I would kind of call the new style of like 4-man cores. That do different things here as well, because you'll notice that one of these is a level 4 core and one of them is only a level 2 core. So the first one is 2 Cenobites, so you have the HRL and the chain rifle plus 1 burst flash pulse, and then 2 Reverend Custodians, 1 KHD, 1 hacking device plus. You can do 2 hacking device pluses if you would like. I personally, I like the split because having access to Trinity is good, and they both have pitches.
If you want pitches on the Hacking Device Plus, it's another 4 points.
Yeah, so just getting the KHD in there saves you points and gets you pitches. So it's good with that regard. So that is actually that. If you're following along at home, is a level 4 link. So you are getting that +1 burst. So that is a BS 13 Cenobite HRL. And the really neat thing here is you don't necessarily need Sixth Sense on this link, because if your opponent has a MSV2 gun that is going to shoot you through smoke, your Cenobite's not going to be standing up.
Yep.
Like, there is no reason why you would need Sixth Sense on a Cenobite, because it's not going to be standing up if there is something that's going to shoot it through smoke, because it relies so heavily on its Mimetism 6 to sort of make up for the fact that it is BS 13 now with the link, but only that base BS 12. And the second link is a much more toolboxy version of that other white banner link. So you have a Hate with BS Attack Guided, Heavy Rocket Launcher +1 Burst, the Dokkaebi Hacker with Hacking Device Upgrade Carbonite. That's the wrong Dokkaebi.
Was it supposed to be the Marksman one? Yeah.
No, sorry, that is meant to be the other Dokkaebi, the one with
Killer Hacker
Spotlight and Killer Hacker with Spotlight. I'm not sure how that happened. So in your head, just replace that Dokkaebi with the 21.1 that has Killer Hacking Device with Spotlight. The Jujak Engineer with Deactivator. This could also be the Tinbot as well. You can sort of pick your own, the one Jujak you want to run, because that's what's acting as like the link forming glue. And then the Hwarang Disco Baller.
Yeah, so with the first one, like you said, you got the mimetism. The good thing about like the rocket launcher one is the Hate is such a good fucking shot already.
Yep.
That it just having extra dice is enough.
It doesn't need to be BS 15. BS 14 is plenty, and you don't necessarily. None of them want to be dodging better. None of them really care about the Discover that much. Like, the thing you care about is making that Hate burst 4 and making that guided burst 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, so yeah. I'm guessing it's the Jujak and the Hwarang that make the level 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So your idea there is I'm stapling a pitcher to a level bonus, and I'm stapling a guided HRL to a level bonus.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of making a level 2 4-person core.
Yeah.
Like
now with this, it can't, if you only have a level 2 bonus on a core, it can be vulnerable to having that level bonus sniped out, because you just have to lose one model. But with this one, the 2 models that grant the level 2 bonus are 2 models that don't really want to look at the enemy.
Yeah.
No.
It's not terrible to add make it a 5-man, I suppose, with the other Jujak Tinbot, because it provides so many other bonuses to it, but it is another 23 points or something.
Yeah, but why? What are you gaining by adding a Jujak, other than the fact that you've got one more model to hide, basically, before you lose the bonuses?
Well, from experience, pitchers can pull this part.
There is.
If someone's chucking a pitcher, they're if they put a pitcher on top of the link, the thing they're going to be targeting isn't like random link members, it's the hacker that's in the link.
Mm-hmm.
And if they kill the hacker, that's not affecting the dice bonuses.
Yeah, I think Jacob more means replace the engineer with the Tinbot to kind of give it the resistance.
It is just a case of pick the Jujak you
and
would like.
And then if you're really dedicated to the engineer, have it as a separate guy with a turret and a little helper boy. Because the role of engineer doesn't have to be in the link.
No.
The Jujak is the glue. If you're really scared of those pitches, I'm guessing Jacob's referring to me, you can add that Tinbot.
Hey, you had difficulty because I had that Tinbot there.
Absolutely. Tinbot Next 6 is a bitch.
Yeah, I really like this sort of new style of 4-man cores, and it's 2 very different types of it as well. You've got one where you're actually leaning into those additional bonuses, and then you have one where it's like, I have achieved level 2 status, let's staple on some good shit.
Yep.
And you add a baggage bot, near this core. And that
Oh, yeah.
guided and the targeting from even the killer hacker, because it still has spotlight, is
Yep.
terrifying.
Yep. Those pictures.
Yeah,
are,
just replace the Dokkaebi with the correct one. I'm not sure
Yep.
what happened when I put this together.
brain fart.
Yeah, brain fart.
All
Bad
right.
day.
Here is obligated tack example. Here's an
This is
example of a
horrifying.
bad level 5 core. So we have a Line Kazakh HMG, we have a Line Kazakh missile launcher, Line Kazakh LT, we have the Kazakh Doctor. I don't know why the Kazakh LT's in there. Make it an FO. And then we have Colonel Voronin, who's our real LT. This is a very... I just picked up tack and I'm making a link. And it's really bad. 6 cents means nothing if your guy is BS12. Yeah. Your BS11 plus 1 burst, your BS12, 6 cents is not saving you from a surprise attack from any gun.
Yeah.
You're still going to die.
And this is why, like, if you're going to make like a castle sort of thing like this, and you want to go all the way to the like 5 pure, you need to be a good shot and probably have a Viz mod for it to even be worth it. And again, as we said before, once you get to that, once you've got those two things, you only really need the special dice. And
yep.
You've got most of the bonuses. Remember, it's only 5%. Yes, there will be times where you roll what would have been a crit and you kick yourself, but that will literally happen 5% of the time.
Less. But yeah, I agree. It's like just the missile launcher and the Kazakh Doctor does 95% of what this 5-man does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And these fire team changes also mean that, like, it changes more than just the way we put our armies together. It should be changing your deployment, right? You should, if you know you're going to deal with smoke and stuff like that, you should be more cautious because you're going to be dealing with more like 6 cents bullshit that you didn't have to deal with before. So you're going to have to be more conservative. So this link team is not just about like the bonuses and BS and all that. It really has impacted the game of Infinity almost throughout.
Yeah. For the really new players, the reason why this is bad isn't just because you could do 95% with 2 of the models. It's because you're taking up 3 additional slots to get such a minimal benefit. Slots are an incredible resource.
This could almost be done with a Frontovic and 1 Line Kazakh.
Yeah, I tried to make a bad one. It's really hard to make a.
Oh, like yes, a Frontovic would make this better. But I think part of the point is, even if you took these 5 models, you can take the Line Kazakh missile launcher and the Line Kazakh Doctor, and they become a duo, and you put them over here. You take the heavy machine gun and the, I guess, supposed to be an FO, and you put them over here as a duo.
Yep.
And your benefits from the fire teams are almost as good, and they're now covering 2 different areas.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Bad fire teams, the N4 style mixed core. So this is what we used to run in N4, and it's garbage now. So this is an old Torchlight core. We have the Stormbot heavy rocket launcher. We have the Wave Rider killer hacker. We have a Hellblazer. We have a Raven Eye LT and a Mint. Back in N4, this would have got us +1 BS and 6 cents.
6 cents.
Now, you're spending 5 members. This is a level 2 link. So you're getting 1.5 dice on a Stormbot. And that's it.
Yep.
Yep.
Man, rest in peace, Ivory's bad OSS links.
Yep. So the fire team changes have pretty much made links like this completely obsolete.
Yeah,
you may as well run the Stormbot by itself.
Yeah, so hold on, I can top this link. Go ahead, Ivory, send it.
No. No, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be the Rickshaw HRL and a bunch of crap.
Yeah, probably. It'll be like Rickshaw HRL, fucking Dakini, fucking
A
something
Dakini,
like
a CSU, and a Danavas.
Yes.
That's what it is.
SDSU and a
Rickshaw,
Danavas.
Dakini, CSU, Danavas.
Oh god. Alright. Yeah, no. It just shows how far like what has just changed to the degree that we've been talking about. Like this was great, this was fine in N4, and it's just not anywhere close to cutting it now in N5.
Yeah, I mean, almost one of my go-tos was, I think, completely mixed, which was in Tunguska, Kriza, Grenza, Perseus, Hollow Man, and whatever the toolbox drone is.
Stempler.
Stempler. Almost identical to this. It's a level 2 team.
Oh, I nearly nailed it. I just missed the Darwin.
Yeah, you missed Darwin. You were super close.
God damn it.
So for reference, Ivory's old favorite link from N4 that is now a level 1 link is a CSU specialist, a Danavas hacker, a Dakini of just a combi rifle Dakini, a Darwin with chain rifle flame and spear, and a Rickshaw heavy rocket launcher.
Absolute garbage now.
How the mediocre links have fallen even further.
Yep. All right, guys. How does Loss of Lieutenant use Fireteams? I don't know.
So, like, how has your use of Fireteams changed between N4 and N5?
Did you know that John d'Arc can link with 2 Helots? And that's been my Fireteams experience in N5. Also, Bolt duos are really good, and Kahu duos are really good. But mostly the fact that Jean d'Arc can lead 2 freaky lizard guys up the table.
Yep. I think the really key thing is N4, you had a core and a Harris. That was it.
Yep.
Adding on more members pretty much definitively made your link stronger in N4, whereas now N5's taken that power curve and shoved it right back, where adding members is not always going to give you a stronger fire team. Sometimes units just peak by themselves. Even units like Joan, sometimes there's a legitimate case for just taking Joan by herself.
Yep.
And with duos being virtually unlimited, a 3-4 man link might be better served as 2 duos. Fire teams don't have godlike power pieces anymore. They outgun 90% of the units in the game. They are subtle. The strengths are subtle. And the strength comes from the efficiency and the versatility rather than the raw numbers.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I'm doing now is I'm definitely running 2 fire teams. I'm not trying to sink my points into making 5 models incredible. I'm looking to make, to buff up 1 model with like 2 support things, or I'm trying to sort of figure out how to make like this little like castle that I don't have to care about that has models that I don't want to move. Focus on this and a duo. I mean, the hell, I'm taking duos. That's probably the biggest change. I look at a duo and I'm like, hey, guess what? I'll take it because it's worth it. The other thing is I'm looking at profiles and I'm trying to find those ones that would be effective in AROs. So one of the ones that I love that I haven't had a chance to take a look at is Octavia with her heavy rocket launcher. She has combat instinct, I think, and one of her profiles has Sixth Sense. So she alone has almost like with 2 other hang-oners, so in a Harris, has the ARO power like equivalent to an old like 4-man or whatever fire team back in N4. So I'm looking for profiles like that. Tai Shen's another example of a really good profile that's made to compensate for the changes in fireteam rules with Warhorse, with Sixth Sense in her profile.
Also, a really good shout out from Ivory, especially with the changes to the way that baggage and reloading works. Don't sleep on just exactly how powerful +1 special dice is for units with disposable weaponry and like equipment. The fact that you no longer just burn an extra use of that disposable when you are like in a fire team, the fact that it is free basically, it literally doubles the usages that you get out of disposable equipment before needing to use that short skill to reload. It's cannot be understated how much like subtle power that adds, where you just like you don't really feel it until you experience it.
Yep.
Even in like active turn, if you're like in the right range bands and you've got like a Panzerfaust or something, instead of having to be like, I got one chance for this to work, and if it doesn't, I got to think of something else. You've got 2 chances for that shot to land, do damage, right? Instead of going, I take 2 shots, one misses completely, one hits, you survive. Shit. Now you've got, oh, you survived. Well, guess what? I can do it again.
It's really elevated units like that new Aleph unit that has either an EM disposable weapon or a glue disposable weapon. I can't remember which.
Oh, it's
The K1 auxiliaries.
Shakti has the
Yeah,
deployable turret with the EM.
not the deployable turret, more so like a Panzerfaust or a Blitzen. In ARO, my opponent can peek one thing. I am forced to shoot 2 shots at it in N4, and then I'm out. In N5, I have 2 shots, and that's twice the amount of bullshit your opponent has to deal with when it comes to getting rid of that ARO piece and the risk assessment that comes by getting hit by EM and glue and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost look at them as literally being twice as powerful in N5.
Twice as many shots, absolutely. And I think twice the shots is actually more than twice the power, funnily enough.
Yes. It has better board control, better order control. Yeah. Jacob, you mentioned running 2 fire teams now that's N5.
I'm running 4.
I've got a list that I'm running 5 fire teams.
You're playing Morats, though.
Like, not 5 duos, like a core of 4, 2 Harases, and 2 duos.
What the fuck?
I haven't...
More players don't count.
I haven't even thought about the fact that I could take a look at a shit ton of fucking duos. I haven't even thought of that.
More players don't count. Like, I'm sorry, they just don't count.
They don't. One thing I would like to mention is link teams. I feel like now have become a thing where you plan out the link and what it's going to do, almost like what we talked about in the Group 2 episode, where you plan it out, rather than I'm adding models to add strength.
Yeah.
So now I can add models, and I think I'm playing supplies, I'm adding a paramedic. The idea is I spend 5 orders, pick up the box, come back, blah, 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 blah. Instead of I add the guy, he gives me 6 cents, blah, blah, shoot, or he gives me +1 burst, or whatever like that.
Yeah. Well, in N4, I found when list writing, like, I would start with the core, and the goal of that was to fill a core.
Yep.
Now I pick a model that I want to build a fire team around, and I build a fire team that is sufficient to support them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's done, and I move on to the next chunk of the army. It doesn't feel like I have to pad out something to hit the bonus. I'm selecting the amount of support the model needs and that I feel I want to bring with it.
Yep.
And that's it. I don't have to bloat.
Yep.
Yeah, you really need a reason to break, like, every single model you add, like, probably except for the 3rd, because you only go for the 3rd to get to the 4th. Every single model you add, you have to have, like, a reason, right? Like, the only reason you add a 3rd model... Oh, okay, that's not true, but, like, you add a 3rd model, you've got a reason, and, right, it might be just to get to adding the 4th model.
There's always exceptions.
Yeah, but you just sort of have to have that discussion with yourself when you're making the list of, do I need to add that person or have I reached really the peak of the power that this fire team will give my army?
Well, yeah, each member of the fire team has to justify their inclusion.
Yeah.
There's no longer just filler.
Yeah, I think N5's really shifted to a game of toolboxes since the power has been scrunched together, and the peak power is kind of like a Swiss Guard. But in N4, a Swiss Guard was really good, but it wasn't like peak power. We're really like, I'm taking units to fill out certain things. So I need my Albedo to deal with this. I need my MSV to deal with these units, because I can't just power through it with my big old 5-man core boy.
Yeah, and that's the other good thing is that units that used to like, not that I've used it, but like the Mao Wang before just wasn't scary. Oh, you've got mimetism -3. I've got a fire team, so I'm fine. But that mimetism -3 counts for a lot now.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
not
why
saying Mao Wang's
Cenobites are scary as fuck, Jacob.
Yeah, I know. I'm making a joke.
Best 26 points you can spend in the game of Infinity.
Yeah. And thankfully it's put a bit more power into like camouflage tokens and things like that, where if you're a camouflage token gunfighter, you can pop out of that state, take a shot at a fire team and be relatively successful, whereas before you might do that and they'd be like, again, they're like, I got 6 cents, I don't care about your -3, we're on even footings, right, bring it on.
Yep.
So funnily enough, realistically, that 4-man Bakunin Cenobite core, in terms of just ballistic skill, it's actually a higher ballistic skill than it was in N4.
Yeah, it is. No, it could get to 14 in N4.
No, as a 4-man, Jacob.
Oh, as a 4-man. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Because the Cenobites naturally gained +1 BS, didn't they?
Yeah, because the Cenobites naturally went up by 1
That's
to 12.
fucking cooked.
Yeah, and so they're 13 in the 4-man now. Yeah.
Yep, instead of 12 before. Just a funny little story.
And still the best one is that 20.1 has a flash pulse.
Yep.
Yeah, and burst 2 flash pulse.
Yes, sir.
Gross.
Alright, boys. That has been...
Oh, we're not done yet? Excuse
Oh,
me?
we're not done yet?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Jordan,
Yeah, we've got one last thing before we
Jordan,
wrap
what's your
up.
favourite fire team? You're not allowed to say Jean or Bolt.
I was about to say, I thought I did already say my favorite fire team.
Well, it can't be Jean or Bolt.
Then it's it's that white banner one that I made with the Dokkaebi, the Hwarang, Heite, and the Jujak, because I think it is just exceptionally neat being able to like get all that juice and still get the most important part of a fire team bonus now being that +1 special die. Just gives you so many options to add interesting things to fire teams, provided that they start at here is your +1 special die.
It feels so wrong at the beginning, and then you play it and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
They did the right thing by making that Dokkaebi AVA1, because if it was anything more than that, you'd be at the limit, because that fucking marksman one that it has is gross.
All right, Nick, favorite fire team?
I think it says something about N5 when the two teams competing for my current favorite fire team are both duos.
Yes.
I thought you were about to say the Rodok Harris, and I was about to be very annoyed.
No, Rodok duo instead.
Yeah. So, like, maybe a week ago, I would have said the Rodok duo of a hacker and the strategic deployment emitter.
Yep.
But I think the Sogarat duo of an APHMG lieutenant and an NCO Foyabach +1 burst has taken their place for my favorite duo, for my favorite fire team.
This was in the traps. This was in the fire team duo traps. Why is this link team good? Why is it good?
Because they both support each other by making each other an amazing arrow gun.
Yep.
They have the durability of a tag. So by the time they need to actually get out of line of fire, they have a good chance of having passed a whip check before then.
Jesus Christ.
And that's also giving them a special dice on their uh, uh, disco ballers to land on 16s. That's also 4 disco ballers before I need to reload.
Yep.
It is just a powerhouse brick that I have really been enjoying playing.
It is also more than a third of your army.
And you know what? I'm fine with that. It's
Okay.
kind of like running a tag duo, but you don't have to worry about S7s being visible from across the board.
Yeah.
Very gross. All right, Jacob. Favorite fire team?
I think I'm gonna go with the penitent the what's it called? Yeah, penitent observant AP continuous
Spitfire?
damage Spitfire. Either the Orphan or Mother Agatha, depending on what you're more scared of, hacking or taking wounds, and then a Cenobite.
Yep.
Right.
I-
Don't really need to go all the way to 3. You could take Agatha, and then you don't really need the Cenobite for like CC ability-ness, because it's all pure. But again, it's that sort of like nice toolbox, right? Where you've got gunfighter specialist, CC, you got all your bases covered in one Harris.
How very N4 of you. All right, I'm going to preach for the next 60 seconds about Lord and Savior, the Laseek.
Oh, fuck yes. Yeah.
All right.
It's so good.
Laseek duos are fucking munted, right? Duos in general. So I found it really hard. I can't really pick a duo because if I pick a fire team that's my favorite, I'm kind of just telling you that this unit is my favorite unit, not necessarily that it's my favorite fire team, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
So just Laseeks. It's all right. I won't rant about them. Go look at Laseeks. They're fucking incredible.
Well, you should say the example we had where you were fighting a Shang-Chi over both of our negative range bands.
I'll tell you what I told
you were a better
Val.
shot than me.
Viral marksman rifle with AP. Laseek has marksmanship, X-Visor, and mimetism.
To be fair, it's not hard to be a better shot than a Shang-Chi.
It's a better shot than so much fucking shit. I'll give you another example in a minute. So a viral marksman, your zeros all the way out to 40 inches. You have an X-Visor, which means... you have marksmanship, which means you ignore the cover. So your BS-12 with 4.5 dice, up to 40 inches, and you're applying mim on whatever you're shooting. So you can outrange a HRL and put them on neg-9. You can outrange a... Thunderbolt's a bit weird, but you can outrange any 32-inch gun, put them on practically neg-9. And if you're still scared, you can flash pulse on 12s to 48 inches. You can outrange a missile bot with a Laseek flash pulse and put them on neg-9. It's fucking incredible.
Is it snowing, Tristan?
No.
In Magical Christmas Land?
Mate, it's fucking incredible. Fucking incredible. Well, just imagine that. You're Laseek in the corner, the fucking very corner of the table, and you're like, I shoot you with my sniper. I'm like, bitch, I'm on better numbers than you. So yes, a combination of marksmanship and X-Visor is just disgusting.
And then someone puts down a fucking cloud of white noise, and you're like, oh no.
Oh yeah, and then you're fucked.
Oh no!
Yep.
Or the overdrawn HRMC rocks up, and you're like, oh no!
To be fair, I've been playing a lot of vanillas. So my Link experience has been Bolt Duos and Joan in a Harris. The thing that's really been impressing me is just singular units, like the Swiss Guard. I feel like I don't need Fireteams as much. Fireteams isn't really there for power. It's more for making up my mistakes in terms of efficiency and, I got crit or I lost a wound or I need smoke here or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're seeing now is I think the individual power of a particular unit is no longer outshone by 5 Dakinis standing really close to each other.
I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy Dakinis suck.
I will be happy for an entire edition that 4 moderators and Riot Girl is now fucking dead.
Yes.
So happy.
Yes.
In the fucking ground, a bullet in its head, dead.
The next 6 months to a year is just going to be incredible because the innovation and what's actually good is like we can't really put a pinpoint on what the strongest type of fire team is. It could be fucking anything at this point. We can give you a general guidance as to what has worked for us. But you know, there's so much innovation.
With N5,
anything...
with N5, there's no longer a right answer.
Yep.
In N4, there was a correct answer, and it was a level 5 fire team.
Yeah.
All right, a full core fire team. With N5 scattering that benefit and making it kind of diminishing returns as you get higher up, the options are open. Like, have fun, play around, try crazy stuff, and you might find that there's a fire team that you never thought would work, and they work off of each other quite well.
I think if you take anything away from this episode, it is just a case of, like, please just experiment. Just play around, try and find what works for you, try and find stuff you like, just experiment as much as possible because it is a wide open world right now in terms of what you can do.
Yep. Focus on the fundamentals, fundamental truths, which is, you know, having extra orders is extra efficient. Having a specialist with a gunfighter is good. Having a doctor with people is good. Applying, you know, close range guns with long range guns, templates, CC defense with this thing. Just, yeah, there's a lot you can do, and don't get too like out there currently. Or do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this change has meant that really vanilla, sectorial, we're all like really playing the same game now.
That's another reason why we did this episode. It's because Fireteams applies to everyone now. Boosh.
Excellent.
Boom.
I think that was a lot of final thoughts already.
Hell yeah.
That was a lot of final thoughts.
we did, in fact, final thoughts for like 30 minutes, I think.
Yep.
That's good. It's a good one to...
It is. I'll reiterate one thing. Fireteams now don't have to be... This seems counterintuitive what I just said before. They don't have to be general do-all things. You can have fireteams now for specific purposes, because as Nick said, you can have 4 or 5 fireteams. You can have 6 if you really want to push it. But you can have a fire team that's just really good at doing this thing. Be that throw smoke or shoot pitches or
I was about to say that's
whatever
with the Tanukis.
Yeah.
Duos, unlimited. They just have to make them slightly better than they were on their own, and it's worth it.
Yep. Excellent. You okay, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're looking a bit sad.
I always look sad. Unfortunately, that's just my face.
He's got resting sad face.
I do.
Do we have any final comments from the listeners in the audience?
Ivory, your opinions don't count.
I'll give you 5. Oh, they're typing. All right, guys, we're going to end the episode. What
no,
the
they don't.
fuck? Shut up. Ivory just said kill fire teams near buffs. All right, we're cancelling the episode. Ivory, I'm going to release this and we're all going to hate on you.
Ivory's banned. Take away their page.
Take
away their cock.
No cock for Ivory.
Patron status is gone.
All right, there we go. Done. He's gone. No more cock for status for him.
Oh my god, you actually did.
It's bad.
You evil person. All right,
I
guys.
have the power.
Hopefully you learned something from this episode. We'll be coming out with more excellent episodes about some lovely intermediate topics in the future. If you have any thoughts and or opinions on what you'd like us to cover, please hop over to our Discord, send us a Facebook message, reply to a post in the YouTube comments. Anything, any interaction, we love to talk to you guys. Yeah. All right. I've been Tristan.
I've been Nick.
I've been Jacob. Yes.
And I've been Jordan.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.